Yes! No!
Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, want to remind you can nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contests and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. Ben, it's time to preview the NBA Finals, which begin tonight in Oklahoma City. Joining us now, he is the host of Pacers Overtime, the postgame show. He's Eddie White. We'll welcome him back to the Jake and Ben Show. What's going on, Eddie?
Oh, it's great. Hey, Ben, I got to tell you something. Just like in Indiana, we're so proud of why people wonder why our team's so good is because we have each other's back and they share the ball. They trust each other, united. When I was on a week or so ago, Jake said, "Hey, this ain't the real deal. I need my guy Ben." So even Jake loves you like the Pacers love themselves. There's a lot of love in the world, and I love it.
Teamwork and friendship.
I told you you'd love Eddie.
That's what these teams are built on. Both of these teams are built on it. Hey, it's got to feel pretty amazing that this Pacers team is back in the finals. It's been, 25 years since they were last there. But it does feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, it just kind of feels like they've done it the right way. It just feels like they've not really violated the principles of being an NBA team. They've always competed hard. They haven't always made good decisions. 5 years ago, this roster and the coaching staff was near disaster, and where they are now is a pretty amazing turnaround.
We have never tanked. We hear that word tossed around a lot, and sometimes teams come right out and say it's part of our strategy. I think sometimes teams use the word process. We're going through the process. We've never done that. And our owner, God bless it, 90 years old, he's in the Hall of Fame. He said, "I'm not going to do that." And a couple of years ago, we weren't good. And he finally did a media thing. He doesn't like talking to the media, but he did a deal. And he said, "I like my little team." And, of course, the media just jumped all over him and ripped him because we weren't doing that well. And he's like, "That's why I don't talk to the media." But, I mean, he told, whether it was Donnie Walsh back in the day, it was Larry Bird calling the shots, or it's Kevin Pritchard. You think about that. For the last, 34 years of our existence, we've had 3 general managers. 3. We don't bring people in and get rid of them right away. Now, when we do, with that Nate Bjorkman, that lasted a year, and he got out the door. But GMs, the guys who make the decisions, Herbie lets them do what they should do, and he has said, "We are here to win games. I have a responsibility to put guys out there to try their hardest to win a game, and we will never, ever tank." And we have not. And, you can almost look at hey, this is a model for how all teams should be run.
I think Halliburton is in for a tough series. I'm not saying he's going to underperform. I'm just saying what he's going up against Oklahoma City is formidable. I mean, those guys can guard. How do you think he's going to do in this matchup?
Well, you're right. It is hard. I mean, this is not. I mean, anything. I always said the NBA. It's not like even the NFL, the schedules are different. You may have a harder schedule. You may play a tougher division than me. But the NBA is what it is. It's 82 games. Everybody plays the same amount. And it's not a sample size. It's a legitimate big sample size. It's a big size to give you a realistic view of what you got. And they're the best team in basketball, meaning Oklahoma City. This will be the greatest challenge the Pacers have had in this postseason. Now, I've seen it all year. Every one of our freaking games I have seen and talked about. When we play well, we beat really good teams and we can beat anybody in the world. When we don't play well, if we played Charlotte right now for the World's Championship and we didn't play well, Charlotte would win in 5 games. So the Pacers have to play well. It will be challenging, but that's why they play the games. I mean, when the Russians played the United States at Madison Square Garden in hockey in 1980, the Russians won by 100. And then like a month later, they play when a lot was on the line up in Lake Placid, and who won the game? The U.S. That's why they play the games. This ain't professional wrestling. It's not scripted. Is it going to be hard? Yes, it is. It's going to be challenging. But we have seen – that's why we love sport. It's the greatest reality show there is. You think you know, and then you don't know. So the Pacers, to answer your question, Halliburton has to play well. If he doesn't play well, we probably don't win the game. But we have seen situations this year in the postseason where he didn't play well or didn't play to his standards, but we still were able to sneak out a victory here or there because of our collective other guys who could contribute. But this is going to be a great challenge, and he has to play well in at least 4 freaking games. 4 freaking games, play well, win 4, and I'll be happy.
With that said, the Pacers were swept this year by the Oklahoma City Thunder. 1 game in Indiana, very close. 1 game in Oklahoma City, like everybody, not very close. What did you see in those games, and how has Tyrese Halliburton played against them?
Well, he hasn't played well the last 2 years. His averages were down. You guys know it's better than me. The basketball teams in December, January usually aren't the same team that's playing in April and May, and especially now June. They're different. They grow differently. Their health is a factor. I mean, I think Mathern and Eastman, or somebody didn't play in a game. Holmgren didn't play in one of those games. So both teams are different than they were back then. I mean, I think you saw what the Knickerbockers played Boston. And I know there's injuries and stuff like that, but if we were previewing the Knickerbockers Boston series, we would say, well, the Knicks got no chance. Boston swept them during the regular season. That wasn't 2 games. I believe it was 4 games. Might have been 5. And who won the series? The Knickerbockers won the series rather easily. So, you know what? Those are results from a regular season, but this is different. The stage is different. You know, playing the same team, and then resting for 3 days or making adjustments for 3 days. That's why the NBA playoffs are the best. You got 7 games potentially, maybe 4, but adjustments are made. It's not a one and done or a back-to-back, or you're going from Salt Lake to Milwaukee. This is going to be a whole different animal, but the Pacers really have to play well because Oklahoma City is just loaded and talented.
What do you expect him to do with Shea?
Well, it's obviously Rick Carlisle doesn't counsel me, but I almost look at when we were getting ready to play Milwaukee, I had a couple of the old ABA guys on, and we won 3 ABA championships here, and I said, hey, how would you guys do that? They're like, well, our old coach Bobby Slick Leonard, when we would play like Artis Gilmore or Julius Erving, he'd say, okay, let Irving go for 43 or 44, but the other 4 starters, hold them to like 3 points below the scoring average, and we will win the basketball game. And he goes, those guys said that would have been the strategy of Milwaukee. Let Antetokounmpo go for 43, 44, 47, whatever, but just hold the other starters below 3-4 points below their average. Now, I would look at okay, let's do that here. Let Shea go for 38, 37, 41, 42. But hold the other guys below their averages, we could win the basketball game. Sounds simple, but might be doable.
I think nationally, anywhere outside of Indiana, most people think the Pacers are playing with house money. That's a really dangerous way to play, I think, if you just say, hey, we're just happy to be here. This is the greatest season we've had in 2 decades. That's good enough for us. Do you get the impression they feel that way inside the locker room?
No, it's like that idiot Biggie Perkins, who gets bigger every time I see him on television on ESPN saying, Halliburton doesn't put the work in and also I haven't seen that guy at any of our practices. I haven't seen him in our media sessions. I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. And again, I get it. The Pacers, like OKC, the Pacers aren't on Christmas Day. We're not on television a lot. People don't know who we are. They can't pronounce the names right. Neesmith is Naismith. Nemhard is Newhart. I mean, they don't even know who the hell these guys are. It's like that Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid movie, where they're sitting there, they're being chased for the whole movie, and Redford looks to Newman and says, who are these guys? I don't like these guys. Who are these guys? I think that's what the 49 states in the country are saying. Who are these guys? What are they doing here? They'll see them. They'll figure it out. They'll see Pascal. They'll see Obi come off the bench. Mathrid come off the bench. T.J. McConnell come off the bench. And you're like, who the hell's Jarris Walker? Who the hell's Thomas Bryant? Who are these guys? They believe they can win because there's 2 guys that have rings and know how to get there. One is Rick Carlisle, is a Hall of Famer, who's done it before with a team that wasn't supposed to win that year. Had a great player in Nowitzki, but they weren't supposed to win that year. They won a championship. The other is Pascal Siakam, who has kept our guys in neutral. There wasn't no great celebration after any of these playoff victories. He said, guys, we're here to win 16 games. That's it, 16. And he counts them off after they win one. Now we got 4 more left, and hopefully it'll be 3, then 2, and there'll be 1, and then you guys can lose your minds.
Neesmith is LaFours, right? Wasn't that the name of the guy in the hat in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? LaFours, I think was his name.
I think you're right. Yep. but that clip of Redford and Newman, they're on the mountain and they're looking at the distance and they're like, I don't like these guys. And they go, can they do that? How can they do that? I thought that's the Knickerbockers when we made those comebacks in 1 and 2. They're like, Knickerbockers are going, who are these guys? I don't like these guys. Can they do that? Yeah, they did do that. Nobody knows who the hell we are. I mean, they know Halliburton, with the Olympics. Oh, that was the guy that didn't play the Olympics. And Pascal, oh, that was the guy that played for Toronto. But, is Dale Davis still there? Is Rick Smith still playing for them? They don't know who we are, which is fine. I mean, did anybody know who the Kansas City Royals were a couple of years ago when they won the World Series? No, but they won the World Series. So what the hell? Let's go do it.
Want to ask you about the coaching matchup because I thought Daigneault ran circles around Chris Finch in the Western Conference Finals. And we talked about it last time you were on. I think the coaching matchup is much more even here now in the finals. How much is that going to matter?
Well, I don't think it's even. I think I would give Rick the nod because he's been there. He's just been doing it longer. I mean, you guys 10 years from now will be as good as you guys are right now. 10 years from now, you're going to be even better because it's just experience. You know when to go in, when to go out, when to push a button, all other stuff. And I think Carlisle has seen everything, and he's made similar changes here in the postseason lineups like he did in Dallas. And I just think he's been around the block enough to know how to handle this stage. And it's going to be really interesting when you are the team that no one is giving you a chance to win. Most coaches you talk to want that position as opposed to the team that all you're hearing is, oh, you're going to win in 4, maybe 5, maybe they steal one in Indiana, but you got this one. You're superior. You swept them in the regular season. Yeah, they got no chance. Any coach, I worked for Don Shula. I worked for Lou Holtz. Lou Holtz, when we were 9-0 at Notre Dame and we're playing 0-9 Air Force, Lou Holtz would say, I tell you something, Air Force is the best 0-9 football team in the country. I tell you, we better be ready to play against Air Force. They're unbelievable out at Air Force. They're incredible. All coaches want that underdog role. Well, we have 49 states telling us, you guys are flat out the underdog. You got no chance, and it's going to be over in 4. And I think Carlisle is going to know how to play that card better than anybody that's in the NBA coaching today.
I said earlier this week that I hope we can celebrate this Pacers team the way we do the Grind City Grizzlies team that never even got as far as this Pacers team has. They never made it to the finals. But now as we're maybe a decade past it, they're kind of held as like one of the cooler teams in NBA history. I think that's what this Pacers team can be. I think the conference finals run that surprised everybody last year and now the finals run this year, I hope it ingrains them as a team that did it the right way, smaller market, but great players without building it through, exclusively superstar trades. I don't want to knock the acquisition of Pascal Siakam and how high of a level player he is, but it's not just buying a championship. I hope we can remember this team with some great regard in the future.
That's a very great observation that I would not expect from somebody outside of Indiana. So my respect for you has gone up even a few more notches because you and I know there's a lot of basketball coaches where they coach junior high school or high school, certainly in college, that are watching our team and going, man, I hope they win it all because then I can walk into my gym this fall and tell my guys, hey, did you see the Pacers? They didn't have LeBron James. They didn't have Curry. They played as a team. They didn't care. I think I told you last time around, we've had 11 different guys be our leading scorer in a game this year. I do the postgame show. They don't care who scores. They don't care who gets an accolade. They don't care who's leading and rebounding. They don't care. They care about one thing, winning and doing everything we can, being selfless, sharing the ball. And if you're a basketball coach, you would love to walk in and say, hey, guys, We're going to play like the freaking Pacers. We're going to go win the Utah State Championship or the California State Championship or the Mississippi State Championship. Or we're going to win the Horizon League, whatever, because we're going to play like those guys. We're going to play as a team for each other.
Not having to do with the Pacers, although you just watched this series up close. Any thoughts on Tibbs getting the axe there in New York?
I haven't grown up out east and grew up reading the New York Post, the New York Daily News, and watching Channel 9 and all that stuff. It's, I get it. It's the media capital and all other stuff. They practice way up in like Poughkeepsie or somewhere. It'd be a pain in the neck. If you're the PR guy, which I was one back in the day, to be the PR guy, it'd be a pain in the neck. I mean, to travel and all that other stuff, the pressure of New York, like nothing is good enough. And I go back, remember I mentioned Herbie Simon, our owner. He stays out of it. He doesn't say who to draft. He doesn't say who to hire as a coach. When Donnie Walsh had this crazy idea, hey, I want to hire Larry Bird as the head coach. Boy, Herbie knew who he was, but Larry Bird never coached anywhere. And his third year, he took us to the finals 25 years ago. I think you got to look at ownership. I think that's really important a lot of times. I mean, hell, Phoenix is going on their fourth coach in 4 years. How are you supposed to win? How are you supposed to win doing something like that? To get any camaraderie or get some belief, in sports we use the word, got to build a culture. Well, how the hell do you build a culture when you got a new head coach every 4 years? I thought Thibodeau did a great job. He's a very good coach. People can nitpick here or there, but that's why they play the games. I mean, Don Shula, I think, was 2-6 in Super Bowls. Was he a lousy coach? Marv Levy was 0-4. Was he a lousy coach? No, they're both in the Hall of Fame. They're great coaches. Nobody was born to go undefeated. And for sure I would have brought him back another year to, maybe mess around a little bit with the roster, but he didn't deserve to be let go. And then what are you going to bring in? Somebody who's never coached in the NBA before? Or we're going to go do the trend? You're going to go hire an announcer who's maybe never coached before? I don't understand it. But, that's New York. They do things differently than we do in Indiana.
You've talked about ownership quite a bit. Do you think they'll be willing to spend to keep this roster together this offseason, regardless of what happens?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, a lot could determine how the series goes. I mean, and again, that'll be the basketball people making the decision and then going to Herb and saying, okay, like if we would win the World's Championship, we win in 6 games. And they go to him and say, okay, hey, we're going to have to go in. We haven't been in the Caps forever. You're going to have to go in to bring back Miles. Well, I think what Miles has done in the community for 10 years, I think it's almost a no-brainer that they would. But if we would get swept and got beat by 80 in each of the 4 games, basketball may say, hey, we may have to make a couple changes, and we think we're like one free agent, this guy away from, getting past this and winning a championship. I think, Herb's 90. I think he would be willing to do it. But, he has been adamant about he never wanted to go into the luxury tax. He believed you can win within the system. He's a loyal NBA guy. When they started the W, he got in. When they started that cockamamie NBA 2K league, he got in. When they needed somebody to host, we hosted the NBA All-Star Game 2 years ago. We're hosting the WNBA All-Star Game this year. Whenever the NBA needs something, Herb Simon and when his late brother Melvin have been loyal to the NBA. So he's going to play within the rules and utilize them to the best of our ability. But I think a lot could be determined on how this series goes. Like I said, if we win it or, if we would get swept. And he will listen to his basketball people.
Eddie, it is a dang pleasure to have you on the show once again. Please don't be surprised when we bug you again in this series. Let's hope we're in for a good one.
Oh, I can't wait. And if I ever get out that way, we're all going out. We're going to have a nice dinner, and we'll tell some stories.
Oh, man, we'll make it happen, Eddie. Trust me. Well, appreciate you, buddy.
All right. God bless you guys. Love you.
Good luck.
There you go. Eddie White, host of Pacers Overtime. He's my kindred spirit.
He is.
My post-game pal.
It's hard to have that much energy for 20 minutes. That's a real skill.
Dude is a radio guy. What do you want?
Well, yeah, when I do interviews, they don't sound like that.
They should.
They don't.
We'll get it together.
Well, like you said, maybe 10 years from now, we'll be a little bit better at this.
Whenever I do interviews, I'm a ball of energy.
You're yelling. I don't have a place in my house where I can speak like that.
Well,
I have to be in the studio.
You got to go outside.
Yeah.
So then your neighbors think you're a lunatic.
You get arrested.
Yeah.
So shout out, Eddie. That was very good.
No, pleasure to have him on the show, of course. I don't know, I love Carlisle, but I think Daigneault's really good. I don't know if Indiana automatically has the coaching advantage here. I think it's a little more even.
There have been some moments where Daigneault, specifically like game 1 against the Nuggets, where he kind of messes some stuff up. He just kind of doesn't. He still seems a little young to me at times, and Carlisle's not going to make those mistakes. And Carlisle, I think, is going to be better at making specific adjustments to attack things that the Thunder are doing. The hard part is, I might be a better dueler than you are. But if I have 1 bullet and you have 10, who's going to win?
Yeah.
It's the problem is Daigneault might just have 10 bullets.
Just has a better team. But the point you make about the adjustments is exactly why Chris Finch was so terrible in Minnesota. So I hope that's different.
Yeah.
Because OKC didn't do any adjustments. They did the same thing all series, and it worked the whole series.
No, I think Carlisle's going to be able to at least score the ball. And if you can score against this Thunder roster, you're going to have a chance to win. The hard part is you go back and you look at what Halliburton did against them this year. I think he had 13 total points in their 2 games. 13 total. Not average, total. He had a 4-point game and a 9-point game. So they have given him the business when they have matched up. But this is, as Eddie said, this is a different team. You get to this level. This is not Tuesday night in March, where you kind of casually blow in. But that also has to be Halliburton's approach. And I love him, and I love his coming out party this year, and I think he's a fun face to have in the NBA, especially in Indiana for a long time going forward. I hope he sticks around there and continues to win at a high level. But he can't have Game 5 at Madison Square Garden where he's like, well, I'm going to take 6 shots tonight. That doesn't mean he needs to take 25, but he needs to be closer to the guy who can have a 30-point, 15 assists, 0 turnover outing in Game 4 than the guy who kind of says, well, let's go back to Indiana and see what we can do. He needs to have that maturity to not bring that type of effort every night.
Oh, I think the Pacers would tell you they're hoping for an opportunity for Halliburton to mail in a game. Does that mean they're up 3-1 in the series?
Right, they're going back to Indiana.
That's what happened in that game.
Yeah.
So I think if you would ask Indiana if they would mind Halliburton mailing in Game 5 when they're up 3-1,
if they're up 3-1, they would take it. But he can't do it in Game 1. Can't do it in Game 2.
No, I don't think so either. All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. I saw some interesting quotes that back up something I said yesterday, which,
okay.
Well, I'm always going to highlight that.
Sure.
I mean, if this person would have disagreed with what I said yesterday, I would have buried that so deep. Never would have seen the light of day. We would just move on. We'd be talking about RSL or something. But anyway, we're going to talk about a basketball player that agreed with me.
Okay.
Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is DJ and PK.
Brian Giltzyler, SiriusXM NBA radio host and NBA TV contributor. We can't let you go without hearing a word about the draft. The Jazz are at number 5. What do you think is their best option?
I would take a serious look at Malawak. There's teams that are going to be banging on the Jazz's door about Walker Kessler. If you can bring him out and leverage Kessler into 2 first-round picks, which was out there last summer, by the way, for him. I think there's a chance at maybe doing that, and I would like to see that out of the Jazz. If Bailey or Edgecombe drops, I think they're both too athletic as prospects that you couldn't pass on him. But if it goes kind of chalky with Edgecombe and Bailey going in front of the Jazz, the guy I'd lock in is Malawak. I love that player, and I think he's got a lot of potential. And I think ultimately, in the end, in the next 2 to 3 years, I think he'll be a better player than Walker Kessler.
Catch DJ and PK mornings from 6 to 10 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Whether it's the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, these guys have got you covered.
Time to eat, fellas.
You're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson
1, 2, 3, move it.
on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I'm the CEO of the Jazz, which, in my opinion, means calm everybody, calm everyone. I'm the guy there to just help Ryan and help Austin and Justin and Will and the players and just help everybody get better.
That was Danny Ainge, still CEO of the Utah Jazz, on with DJ and PK this morning. Great stuff. You can check that out in podcast form. Wherever it is you get your podcast. What are your thoughts on that clip?
I think that's right. Again, I think Danny Ainge was doing a job that he did not necessarily sign up for, but was gracious enough to do it. And Ryan Smith, I'm sure, was happy to have him do it. One of the things Ryan said that was interesting that we didn't address was that this has been a really lean staff for the Jazz between Danny and Justin. There's not a ton of people there. I mean, obviously, the Shane Fenskys of the world and some of the other names out there that have been helping and doing their jobs would scoff at that. But, having another face in there that's 44 years old and Austin Ainge will certainly help. So.
Yeah, depending on how much Danny wants to do, I would say.
Yeah, I think he'll come in.
I don't agree with they've got a lean staff. I mean, it was just Jerry and Phil and Scott Layden
I
for
think
years. By modern standards, maybe. Does everybody have 3 general managers and a CEO?
No.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy into all of that. But you know what? I was here when Kevin O'Connor phased out to Dennis Lindsey. And actually, technically, I think Kevin O'Connor probably still works for the Jazz. It was not all of a sudden Kevin was, there was not this definitive, like a press release, like Dennis is now in charge and Kevin O'Connor is gone. In fact, our very own David James got in trouble for saying, like, Kevin O'Connor bought a house in North Carolina or something like that. And DJ reported it and got a bunch of pushback. And it's like, no, I got it. Kevin's involvement is getting less and less and less gradually. Mm-hmm. And Dennis Lindsey's got more and more and more gradually.
Yeah.
I don't think this is any different. I think Danny believes, and I'm not saying that he's wrong, but there are a variety of different ways that he can help players and he can help the Jazz, but that doesn't include being the actual general manager of the club.
Right.
And so I don't know how you want to describe that process, but this to me is a sunsetting of Danny and handing of the power to Austin. Now, what the time frame is of that, I don't know.
And I would say I kind of think Danny thought the sunsetting of Danny was happening 3 years ago when he took the job.
Yeah,
and then he realized, this sun is it's noon. It's high noon right now. I've got
95 degrees outside.
I've got to rebuild a team. Okay. So I think he's probably happy to not be doing that.
I don't know. I don't follow Danny's calendar.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much he's been around or not around over the years, but this does feel like a move. Like that sounds to me like a guy who's going into consulting.
Absolutely, yeah. Yes,
you know what? In
Danny.
the twilight of his career, he was like, I think I could help a few companies and make some right decisions, and I'll probably work 18 to 20 hours or something like that.
Let me cover the things I want to cover. He
Yes.
doesn't want to go to Australia and watch the whatever EBL or whatever it's called. I'm sure he's made trips to Europe that he does not have any interest in doing right now. But if he wants to go watch a good college game because he's a basketball junkie, which he talked about in the interview as well, he said he goes and watches high school games locally still, which he said he didn't know if he's allowed to do or not. But I think he does just want to do it where he wants to do it, and I think he can be helpful. But I think it's really going to help to have a full-time 44-year-old in his prime doing the job with Justin Zanuck. I think that's going to churn out a better product.
Isn't that what Zanuck was doing, though?
No, I think Justin's doing basically the identical job. Maybe actually Justin could do a little bit less. Maybe Justin doesn't want to do any less. But no, I think this allows a guy in Austin to step in and maybe do more willingly than Danny was.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's part of an energy in the job. I think there is something to that. Mm-hmm. And what's Danny now? 68?
Yeah, he's in his mid-60s.
60,
yeah, he's not 1,000.
67?
Yeah.
No, so, I mean, I guess I understand it as long as they hired the right guy.
And I think someone who's thinking about 10 years from now. And, Danny has made trades for 10 years from now, but Danny is not under the assumption that he's going to have this job in 10 years.
No, but if that's your criteria for making decisions, then you shouldn't have the job.
Well, you don't want to be Nico Harrison, who's making decisions for 18 months from now.
Well, no. I more think I don't think when Jerry West was a geezer with the Warriors, he was making decisions for right now because he was not sure he was going to be around in a year. I don't think that if your age and career span is dictating the decisions that you're making for a franchise, well, that's selfish and you should not have the job.
Agreed, but it's why you generally don't hire 60-plus-year-olds to come in and initiate rebuilds.
Well, unless they're Danny Ainge, or honestly, like Greg Popovich, who was convinced he was going to be coaching forever.
Which was not good.
I don't know. Not good for him, I guess.
I don't think it was good for the Spurs.
I don't know. I bet you the Spurs would disagree with that.
Yeah, the Spurs can disagree with me, but I disagree with them. I think they were wrong to continue to do that. I would pair Wemby with a younger coach.
Pat Riley's 105?
Hey, he's not coaching anymore.
No. We're talking about GMs.
I'm not hiring him to come in and start my rebuild.
Well, he might be having to start a rebuild.
He is.
basically this year.
Absolutely, he is. I wouldn't love
And
that
you
if
would-
I was a Miami fan.
And you would still love to have Pat Riley.
No, Pat Riley's a very smart person. I don't want him to be in charge of the next 5 years of runway. It's a lot. It's hard to do. It's not fun to do.
But I bet he could plan. He could put together those 5 years.
Sure,
of
and I
runway.
believe Danny did as well. I'm just saying I think having a 44-year-old now who's going to see it through, who's not only laying the groundwork, but is going to see it through once the foundation is laid and, the building is up. I think that would be more, if I owned a team or if I was a fan of a team, what I would want to see.
Yeah, okay. I'd rather see him hire Danny freaking Ainge, the Hall of Fame GM. No offense to Austin.
No, sure.
But this is Austin's first bite at the apple. I don't care how old Danny Ainge is. I mean, back to the comment, you want him to have as much say as he's willing to have because he's really good at it. So see it through a 44-year-old? Heck no, I want Pat Riley. If it's me, I'm saying
Sure.
I want Danny Ainge. I want R.C. Buford, who's got to be 1,000 years old. I don't know. Like, young people can do it too, and I believe in innovative, and I believe in those sorts of things. But there is something to people who've been there and done that and succeeded at a high level. There's a confidence to that, and I get it that it gets a little delicate then when you mix age in, and I realize this is a hot political topic at the moment.
Sure.
Like, how old is too old? But you know what? You want to hire the guy. You want to hire the person who's going to make the right decision. If the Warriors had passed on Jerry West because he was in his 60s, pretty near 70s at the time, that would have been a huge mistake.
Sure.
I want Jerry West.
Sure.
I don't want 10-year-old Bob Myers and his weird hair.
Right. I get that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Mitch Kupchak, who just was an empty suit, regardless of what age he was, taking credit for Jerry West for years.
And
I'd rather have Jerry West.
And I think this timeline is good. You're right. You brought in Danny Ainge. He had his term limit, and you moved on to the younger person.
But I think that has to do with Danny, not the Jazz.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I
good
think
for
that has
Danny
to-
for having the wherewithal to recognize he doesn't want to do this for 10 more years.
Okay, this is going to sound weird, but don't couch it as good news that Danny's taking a step back.
No, and I'm not trying to sell that at all.
I'm not saying you.
No.
Sorry. Apologies. I'm not trying to say you. I'm trying to say the proverbial you. I know everyone wanted to celebrate Austin, and I'm perfectly willing to give him an opportunity to do his thing. And I'm not creating or criticizing his resume either. I'm just saying his track record ain't the old man's.
Correct. At all. No,
You know what I mean?
Danny should be a Hall of Famer. I don't know why he's not in the Hall of Fame. Danny will be in the Hall of Fame.
If you're looking at, confidence in running your program or your front office, it wasn't a good thing. Now, he did not announce he's taking a step back. That is not part of the announcement. They just announced that they added Austin to the team. But if it means that Danny Ainge is not going to be calling the shots, that's not a good thing.
Ryan Smith said Danny now has the opportunity to choose his spots, which essentially is a step back. I actually think that's beneficial, right? Have the best of Danny doing what Danny wants to do, where he thinks he's most impactful, and then have Austin Ainge and Justin Zanuck doing the rest. And then have Danny come in, because as Danny said in this segment, he didn't say, "Yeah, I'm taking a minor role." What was the role you said of Kevin O'Connor or Dennis Lindsey when he got pushed out? Not an advisor, but kind of
A consultant.
A consultant. Danny did not say consultant.
No.
When DJ and PK asked him what he was, he says, "I'm the CEO."
I'm the CEO of the Jazz.
He didn't say, "Yeah, I'm moonlighting." He didn't say that. Danny wants to play a lot of golf. Danny wants to hang out with his grandkids. Danny wants to hang out with his family. I'm sure he still wants to hang out with Austin. And he also said in this interview, "I'm a basketball junkie." Like, he is a huge basketball fan. So he wants to be around. So I think having him in place where he wants to be around is still beneficial, because I think Danny Ainge is very good at his job. I understand there's a lot of Jazz fans who have not enjoyed the Danny Ainge experience because of what the result so far has been on the floor. And I understand that it is a part of a much bigger process. But I believe Danny Ainge is very good at this job.
Yeah, I believe he's good too. And I do believe he's, quote unquote, making decisions, and I am the CEO, but I don't, whatever. Spare me your titles. How did they neuter Dennis Lindsey?
They brought in Danny Ainge.
No. Dennis Lindsey had been neutered years before. Justin Zanuck
Somewhat.
got promoted. He got promoted out of the job. They took him from GM and they promoted him to vice president of basketball operations, and all of a sudden Justin Zanuck was the one making the decisions.
When did Dennis Lindsey get that title?
It was the year they traded for Mike Conley in the offseason. So what was that, 18, 19?
Yeah, would have been 19.
19. So that was, we were all here. You were covering it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the whole thing of that was we're putting Dennis in a different place. We're going to disguise it as a promotion, and he's not going to be the one calling all of the shots. Now, I'm not saying he wasn't involved, because he was, but the dynamic shifted, and the way that they couched that was by promoting Dennis. So I don't, and that happens a lot.
Sure.
I'm not trying to pick on the Jazz. It happens all the time. Isn't that what happened with, what's his name, Jones in Phoenix recently? Where they basically took away his power by promoting him?
Yes, they did.
Yeah. So spare me your titles. I want to know who decides who's being picked at number 5?
Austin. Yeah. If you think that's worse, that's fine.
I don't know if it's worse, but you know what? It's not the legend Danny Ainge. It's not
I get it.
One of the best general managers in NBA history, which was that was the best move Ryan Smith made as an owner. And now that dynamic is changing. So I don't want to undersell the import of that, because a lot of times people want to disguise it in, well, I'm still going to be around and I'm still the CEO and I'm still this, but Austin's really the one doing it. But I'm still here in his ear. I don't know if that's a good thing. You want the guy calling the shots.
I still think Danny's going to have a huge say. I think, as much as we're saying Austin is going to be the final decision maker, and Ryan laid that out very clearly. That was the very first sentence he said when they introduced Austin on Monday. This is going to be Austin's team.
And I believe
him. I also believe that they recognize where Danny is at his best, and I'm sure Austin, more than anyone, recognizes where Danny is at his best and will allow him to play that role as well. So I still think you get the good parts of Danny Ainge as a front office member.
We'll see. I mean, I don't think Danny wants his son to fail.
Of course not.
But I also think that, is he going to come in and weigh on decisions when he's playing with his grandkids all the time?
No, probably not as much.
Yeah. So, I don't know, the best of him, the worst of him, whatever. If he's not engaged, is he doing the job? Who cares? And then it falls on the new guy, Austin.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that's automatically a good thing.
No, of course, no. Anytime there's change, I've seen fans. Jake Hatch earlier today laid out their question of the day on DJ and PK, asking, how are you feeling about BYU's quarterback situation? It's like, well, when you move off from Retzlaff, if that's who you move off of, like, change is bad. And he's a really good player last year, even if you think Hillstead's good. That's the same thing with Danny. You may think Austin Ainge is just as good as Danny. Change is still change, and it's going to disrupt the apple cart, and you're going to have to figure out, what he does well and what he doesn't do well. So I'm with you. I'm a believer in Danny Ainge, and I think he does have the ability to do his job well, and Austin Ainge coming in is going to change things. No question about that, and that doesn't always mean it's going to be a positive.
Join Hans and Scotty tomorrow from noon to 3 at the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games in Cedar City. Celebrate 40 years of a Utah sports tradition. We'll wrap up the show. Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
Eric Weddle, kind enough to join us. You find out you're up for the College Football Hall of Fame. What's your first thought when you get that phone call?
Just humbled by it all, quite honestly. I think I have a real shot at the College Football Hall of Fame. I don't think I have any shot at the NFL Hall of Fame. So when I look at the College Football Hall of Fame, I think, I belong there at some point, whether it's now or 10 years from now. I think I belong as one of the best college football players to have played the game. So whenever it happens, or if it happens, you guys know me, I live life to the fullest. It's not going to change whether I fall asleep at 10 o'clock or midnight. I got many other things that are on my mind. But it's really humbling and truly honored, obviously, and know that it took coaches, players, faculty, family, wife, kids. It doesn't happen alone.
Catch Hans and Scotty weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on the airwaves, talking sports. They got it made, Jake's and also loves his tie guy. Ben's got style with his scarf. Oh my.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Don't miss another Miki Monday on the Zone. Tune in all day on Monday to win Miki Couture blankets, The original classy blanket Miki Couture makes the perfect Father's Day gift, and Zone listeners get 50% off with code ZONE50. So don't miss Miki Monday on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Ben, who do you think wins tonight?
Thunder. You said there was a Pacer, or not a Pacer. You said there was an NBA player who agreed with your take.
Yeah, Jeff Teague kind of agreed with my Tom Thibodeau take. He said on a podcast that Tom doesn't coach. Said, quote, he really don't say bleep. He just be down, pop down. That's all he say. But he don't be like, Teague, go here, do this. He don't really be coaching you. He kind of just be like, damn it, man. He don't say nothing. I swear to God, Tibbs, all he say is literally damn, and we just watching him. You got to be here, damn. And then he goes on, in the game, bro, you can run. You can shoot anytime. You can run anything. He lets you be a basketball player. Obviously, he's going to put the ball in his best player's hands, but other than that, he don't say bleep, bro. So I was just making the point yesterday that Tom Thibodeau doesn't coach. You can tell the way his teams play. And Jeff Teague, who was actually trying to defend Tom, which is hilarious, admitted that Tom does not coach. He doesn't tell his players how to play.
I think there are some people who think that, yes, Tom is a warlord. He's going to be in there and he's going to be on top of you and make sure that if you don't run it exactly his way, you're not going to play at all. And I don't think that is the case. You do hear him barking all game long, and I think that's part of his reputation. You can just hear him over every broadcast because he's got that very loud, hoarse voice. But yeah, that would make sense. You know, he's calling out some defensive stuff, but for the most part, offensively, which is, by the way, probably his biggest flaw, he's just not a great offensive coach, which is why they went and traded for Karl Anthony Towns. They needed kind of a one-man walking offense. That's why they also got Jalen Brunson. These big offensive engines you can have on your team, but no, it wasn't like they were running magnificent offensive stuff, even though they had those guys.
Maybe Karl Anthony Towns needs a coach.
He might, yeah.
You know, maybe that team, what they need is an actual coach. He's going to do something. But found it hilarious that Jeff Teague basically agreed with me when he was trying to defend Tom Thibodeau, saying, yeah, he basically doesn't coach.
And players may like that.
I'm sure players love it. I'm sure that's why Leon Rose hired him, because players love it. I always thought, man, I bet players hate this guy. I was wrong about it. Players want to put up gaudy stats because they play 42 minutes a game and not be coached at all. They actually want that. It makes a ton more sense. I think Indianapolis has a better shot at it tonight, Ben. I don't know. I could go ahead and predict it, I guess, but I kind of expect a flat Thunder team, to be honest.
I'm guessing the Thunder win by 20. Like a big blowout.
You think it's a blowout?
Yeah, I think it. Well, they just blow out everybody at home. It's not necessarily a hot take. They're just so good in Oklahoma City. It's going to be such a difficult environment that I think, and obviously I could be wrong. I'd love to come back tomorrow talking about the Pacers being up 1-0. If the Pacers are going to win a game in Oklahoma City in this series, I think the most likely is Game 2.
I don't believe in home court advantage. I don't think it matters how loud it is. I mean, maybe if we were going on, if a game is truly 50-50, which obviously this is not, we both think the Thunder are probably the better team. But what does home court advantage make it? 55-45?
Maybe. I think the Thunder, being as young as they are, rely, not heavily, but are juiced by having that crowd at their back.
Didn't Siakam win at Golden State in the finals? I mean, that was considered the best environment in basketball at that time.
Yeah, Toronto was also very good, and they were able to win those games at home. So, no, I mean, yeah, certainly you're good enough to get to this point. You better be good enough to win on the road.
We had our guy Eddie White on earlier, and when I asked him what their answer for Shea is going to be, I was not exactly satisfied because I think that's going to be the issue. You've said it multiple times that the problem is Oklahoma City's second gear. Where do they go when Shea's not scoring 40? Which I do believe is the issue. And Jalen Williams is great, but is he consistent enough? So what does Indiana do against Shea Gilgeous-Alexander?
Nemhart's going to get a lot of opportunity on him, as will TJ McConnell, because those are both very good defensive players. Neesmith's going to get that opportunity. So they've got, they can put a good defender on Shea for 48 minutes, which is a really nice advantage. The flip side is the Thunder can also do that with Tyrese Halliburton, with Caruso and Casey Wallace.
Or more equipped to do that.
Lou Dort. Yeah, they're certainly more equipped to do it. And then they can throw big bodies at him, and, you can let Shea switch onto him. You can't let Miles Turner switch onto Shea.
No, but I think Pascal Siakam was way better than Jalen Williams.
I don't know if I'd say way better. I think they're pretty comparable players. Pascal might be a little bit better, and he's got the experience. He's a little bit older.
I think Jalen Williams is great. I think Pascal Siakam is better.
Okay, he might be.
So if you have the ball not in Tyrese Halliburton's hands, I would believe certainly more in Pascal Siakam.
If that's the bet, if you're trying to take something away, take away Shea and make Jalen Williams go win Finals MVP, or Chet go win Finals MVP.
Because that's what Oklahoma City is going to do to Indiana. They're going to blitz Tyrese again, just like they blitzed Anthony Edwards. And what do they do with it?
Yeah, you're going to have, which is the case with every NBA team. Everyone who wins the finals, somebody steps up out of nowhere and has a huge finals. If you go back and look at the Celtics last year, Al Horford played great. Kristaps played well, not great, but played well. Derek White played great. Jaylen Brown won Finals MVP. It wasn't Jason Tatum. They're going to take away your best thing. They're going to find a way to not neutralize, but limit the thing you do the best. So can Nembhard, can Pascal, can Nesmith, can Miles Turner, who had almost a non-existent series for the most part against the Knicks, can he step up and do something? And that's how you win. You have to have that type of depth. You have to have those types of players.
I'm just seeing this. This came out about an hour ago, maybe a little more. John Gambadoro of he's on Arizona Sports down there in Phoenix. He threw out there today, the Phoenix Suns reportedly don't want Bradley Beal to return.
Oh, the Jazz would take him.
No offense.
All your picks.
No offense to our guy Gambo, but that's the least breaking news of breaking news in the history of news.
Not necessarily breaking. Yeah.
That was true, I don't know, like a calendar year ago.
Yeah, 2 months after they traded for him.
They're like, oh, God, we want this guy to leave.
Yeah.
We don't want this guy on our team.
Again, those are the types of trades that the Jazz want to get involved in and buy extraordinarily low on Bradley Beal.
Well, eat contracts, you mean?
Eat a contract and take back the 2 remaining first-round picks that the Jazz traded them, and maybe even another future first-round pick at the draft. The Jazz can get involved in those types of conversations. And you know what? Colin Sexton and John Collins would make the Suns a more competitive team next year than Bradley Beal does.
Well, yeah, anybody does.
Right.
Him not being on the team makes them more competitive.
So the Jazz can sell that when the Suns get desperate and they call the Knicks and say, what do you think about Bradley Beal for Karl Anthony Towns? And the Knicks hang up. And then they call everywhere. Say, how do we make these trades? And no one wants Bradley Beal. And the Jazz are the last call. And Austin and Danny Ainge answer the phone and say, or Justin Zanuck's actually the one who executes these calls, but say, oh yeah, we got something for you. It's going to cost you everything to take Bradley Beal back. The Jazz can smell that desperation.
Honestly, they should just peel off some bad mortgages and buy him out.
Yeah.
Buy out the rest of his contract.
Yeah, just be done with him.
All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow on a Friday. It's the Jake and Ben Show. Hanson, Scotty are next.
Thanks, Christian.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.